Hello and welcome back to your mat. This class is for those of you who think I am not flexible enough for yoga and I would like to prove you wrong. The beautiful part about yoga is it is one of the main benefits of yoga. Biggest one people see right away is increased flexibility. So you don't need to be super flexible to do yoga, and so I'm going to show you through today's class. We're going to start with a pose at the beginning and we'll do that pose again at the end to see if you can notice a little difference in your flexibility even in a short class. Today's class is going to be really helpful if you have a strap or a belt or a towel. If you don't have those, I can show you a modification, but if you have that, it's really going to be helpful. And possibly one or two blocks, maybe a chair. You'll see what we need that for. So just have something handy nearby, ready to go. And if you don't have any of those props, again, I will show modifications without using them. So today we're going to start with a quote by Gabor Mate. And this one is, knowing oneself comes from attending with compassionate curiosity to what is happening within. So throughout today's class, I want you to have compassion for yourself and also have curiosity. So don't worry if you can't go as deep in the pose as you think you should. This is a comparison for you to compare against yourself or down the road. So if you do this class several times, see if you notice a difference in your flexibility. So let's get started. You're not flexible enough? Think again. Let's get started. And I should also point out that I am filming on location on the Gulf of Mexico in Texas. So hopefully you can see and hear the waves. It's a beautiful day out here today. All right, let's get started. We're going to stand up in mountain pose to begin with. So you can put the strap off to the side for now. And here's where you're going to want your blocks nearby just in case. We're going to use those as a gauge, but you don't have to use blocks. I'll show you modifications. So let's go ahead and stand at the top for mountain pose. Feet hip width apart, and all we're going to do is stand tall here. Again, if you want to have a little bit wider stance here, especially if you have tight hamstrings, those of you not flexible. My hamstrings are perpetually tight, and I've been practicing for 10 years, so there you go. So we're going to go ahead and find your stance that works for you, either a little closer in or a little bit further apart. You're going to stand here for just a moment, arrive on your mat, feel all four corners of your feet grounded into the mat. And then we're going to exhale and just simply forward fold. So just flop forward, kind of ragdoll forward here. You don't have to worry about if your legs are straight or your knees are bent. It doesn't matter at this point. We're just folding forward. So you might feel that little tug on your lower back as you're folding forward. So don't go too far. Your hands may not even reach the ground, just wherever you are. Maybe you're here, maybe you're even here. Just see where you are. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to halfway lift out. So if you've taken in my classes before, you've heard me say halfway lift and coming out. So here's where we're going to gauge how we are at the beginning of class. So what I want you to do is try to go for a flat back and straight-ish knee, straight-ish legs. Again, you can have a bend in your knees if you're super tight. Here's where stacking blocks on top of each other could be helpful. Maybe a chair if you're really tight. See where you are. Where can you find that you can have a nice flat back, fairly straight legs, and come out halfway lift here. So again, find what is going to work for you. I want you to gauge where you are right now. Just notice, not trying to go further down, trying to see where you are. Okay, so you might be down, you might find, hey, I'm actually here, this is good. Find where you are and just notice that. And I want you to remember where you are for the end of class, okay? So maybe remember how many blocks you have or chair. And then from here, set the blocks off to this side. And now we're going to come back into a nice downward facing dog. So go ahead and step back into a downward facing dog. So plant your hands. If you want to start out on all fours, you can. Plant your hands up the top of the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your hips, and start out with bent knees. So here we're just going to warm up the hamstrings a bit before we actually stretch them out. So I suggest taking your dog for a walk, which means pedaling out your legs. So you'll straighten one leg, bend the other knee really deeply, and then do the other. So we're just pedaling out here and opening things up a bit before we get moving. So do that a few times, breathing while you're doing this. The breath will actually help open you up. And then see if you can stay in this pose for a minute with you have bent knees, really pushing your hips up toward the sky. And if you're able to have straight legs, go for it. If not, stay with the bent. One more inhale here. And exhale. And go ahead and lower your knees down. grab your strap, and we're gonna get to work on those hamstrings. So, hamstrings are a perpetually tight place for a lot of people. So I thought we would start there. So we're going to, come on, go ahead and have your strap handy, or a towel or a scarf, whatever you have nearby. And then we're going to lie back onto our backs here. And from here, you're going to start out with both legs bent. And we're going to start with our right leg. So go ahead and leave your left leg bent with the sole of your foot on the ground, knee pointed up. Grab your strap and loop it around the sole of your foot. So pick a spot there that feels good. And now you're going to stretch that right leg up toward the sky or the ceiling. Now, you may find, okay, I get here and you have to play around with this. So this is going to be a progressive opener. So here, if you want to keep it, if it's better to have your leg further forward and you can keep it straight there, then go for that. Or if it helps you and you can bring it in a bit and still keep it straight, you can go for that. Or if you want to bring it in further and have a slight bend in your knee, that's fine. But I would really go in more for where is a spot that you can have your leg straight-ish. So that might be way down here, you might be here, you might be here, you might be further. This is about the end range for me with my hamstrings. So we're gonna breathe here for a minute. We're gonna hold, breathe in and out, and we're gonna notice. Notice where we are. Notice how it feels. If it's really a strain, back off, come out of it a bit. The idea behind yoga and flexibility is it will, over time, increase your flexibility. However, you can't push it. You can't try to be somewhere that you're not already. So be compassionate and be curious about these poses today. So breathe here. If you feel that this is okay to go ahead and straighten out your bottom leg, you can. But if you have really tight hamstrings, I was just keeping that bend. So decide what works best for you. Another breath here. And if you can, try to point those toes toward your face. Really give yourself and you should really feel this all the way down the back of your hamstring. Again, you may be out here, and that's fine. Another breath here. Notice where you are. Try to take a little mental picture of that. And then we're going to go out to the right-hand side. So we're going to take both ends of the strap. And if you had a scarf, you can use that. And I also should have pointed out, and I'm sorry I did not do this earlier, if you don't have any of those, you can always just put your hand behind your knee or behind your upper leg here. So you do have that as an option. It is easier and it's nicer to have the strap, but if you don't have that, I understand. So you're going to take both ends of the strap or the belt, or if you don't have that, you're just going to hold your leg. And we're going to bring that leg, and again, you can keep this one, the other leg bent, bring your right leg out to the right, any amount. And here's where you will use your elbow as a kickstand. So your elbow is going to act like a kickstand and help you hold that leg out. Now you don't have to go all the way down. Find a that works for you. So wherever you feel the sensation, stop there. You don't have to go any further. We're not trying to rip our hamstrings apart. We're just trying to coax them open. And why we're doing this, by working with one leg at a time, I find that's easier on the hamstrings and easier to open up. So if you can have a straight leg, it might still be down here or it might be further up. So find where you are, and we're gonna breathe here and just notice where we are. Don't judge it, but just notice, especially if you decide to take this class more than once. Notice from each time that you take it. Do you see that you can go a little bit further? Does it feel a little bit more open? And it may not. It might take a lot, several times. Another inhale. Another exhale, and on the end, back up to the center. And now we're just going to put the strap into both in the left hand, and we're just going to bring the right leg over slightly, cross the midline to the left. We're not going all the way over into a twist. You should really feel this all down the side of your leg, probably behind your leg. I can feel it up even up into my glutes. So wherever you may feel that, and again. You can always have a bend if you're really tight, but the straighter that you can get it, the more that's going to help open that up. But you have to just go with what works for you. So really listen to your body and what is it calling for? What feels good? And this sequence I'm showing you right now with the strap, this is a great thing to do. You could do this every day. Spend 5 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just do this every single day on both sides. And I guarantee over time you will definitely have more flexible hamstrings. So just something to keep in mind. Another breath in, another breath out. Come all the way back up to center and release that leg down. Nice. All right, we did one side. Good job. Go ahead and stand out for just a minute. Give it a nice little shake there. And then go ahead and bend both of your knees again. We're going to start with the right leg bent with the sole of the foot on the ground. And now we're going to loop up that left foot. So we're going to start with, and you can always stay with your right leg bent the whole time. So find where you can be straight-ish. So find where that might be. Might be out here. Find that. Notice where it is. Just notice where you're starting. And notice that this work, we're going to breathe here. Notice this work is helping to coax open the muscles to help with your flexibility. So you don't have to wait till you're flexible to come to yoga. As a matter of fact, yoga is going to help you become more flexible. That's a big benefit of the practice. And most people would say one of the first things they notice after a few yoga classes is their increased flexibility. Breathe there. And then go ahead and take both ends of the strap into the left hand. And now we're going to open out to the left any amount. So again, you can keep this. I'm going to leave the right leg bent for this one just to show you all the way through. So you can always have that right leg straight out on the mat. And we're going to bring that left leg out. And you'll notice I'm using my left elbow here as a kickstand. So find where you want to be. If you don't have the strap, you can always just hold it with your hand. Hold your leg out with your hand. So breathe here. Try not to let it dump you over. You're trying to stay upright. So keep that right leg grounded into the mat or bent with your knee straight up. Breathe here a couple of rounds and just notice how this feels. If you need to come out more, if you need to bend your leg a little bit, do so. Do what's going to be beneficial for your body. And it's going to help you with that flexibility over time. Another inhale. And an exhale. And come all the way back up to center. And now we're just going to cross the center line just slightly. So take both ends of the strap into your right hand, or you can just hold your leg if you don't have a strap and come across your body. Just a tad, maybe 45-degree angle or less. You're not trying to go into a twist here. So really just notice where you are. Try to keep your hips completely on the ground. So we're not going all the way over to a twist, but you should feel this all down the side here and probably even into your glutes. And breathe here a few rounds. And then back up to center and release that. Nicely done. You can set the strap off to the side here. And now we're gonna go into figure four. So figure four on our back. So we're just going to take that right leg, right foot, and cross it over top of your left knee, the upper thigh of your left leg. So now you're in what's called a figure four, and then you can stay here. You may be feeling something right there. If not, you can reach through, grab a hold of that that left leg anywhere. It can be behind the upper leg, it can be on the shin, whatever feels best, and hug it in any amount for you. So now we're kind of working on that outer hip a bit to kind of open that up so we can see at the end from our first pose that we did if we see any progress. Plus, it's just a great pose. It feels really good. And then from here, go ahead and breathe some more. Stay here. You can close your eyes. You can always back off. If you really start to feel this too much, back off. And keep your right foot flexed. That's pretty important to protect the knee here. So make sure you keep that flexed. Another inhale. And then exhale and release that back down. And now you're going to keep this exact same shape. And you're just going to tilt your body over. So you're going to tilt everything over as if your figure four just fell over. So now your right foot, sole of your foot is on the ground. Your left leg is Your left knee is on the ground and your body is twisted up toward the sky. So you've got your right knee pointed toward the sky or the ceiling, and so is your chest. So you've got a bit of a twist here, but you're also helping to open up this whole, the side body and all along here, all through your hip also. So just stay here for just a moment. And again, breathe and just notice how it feels. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. How does it feel? Does it feel good? If you haven't stretched in a long time, this might be like, oh man, this is heaven. Or it might be like, this is absolute pure, oh my goodness. So again, if there's any kind of pain, you want to back out. But if you have sensation, try to breathe into it and breathe through it. And then come all the way back up, and now we're going to switch. So now we're going to do the figure 4 on the left. So put your left foot, top of your right knee. You can stay here if it feels like enough for you, or if you want a little bit more, just side. You can either hold your hand, hold behind your upper thigh, or at your shin. So I'll do the thigh this time. And just going to pull that right knee in just a little bit, and keep your left foot flexed. That's important. So just stay here and breathe, and be wherever you need to be. Just listen to what your body is calling for. That's such an important aspect of yoga. You have to listen to your body and not what everybody else around you is doing, or what the teacher's doing, or what you see on social media. You've got to do what works for your body. We all have different bodies. Another breath. And then go ahead and exhale and release that. And now we're going to come into our fallen figure 4 on the other, on this side. So go ahead and just let your whole figure 4 just fall over to the side here. And now the left sole of your foot is on the ground. Your right knee is also on the ground, and your left knee is pointed up, and your chest is pointed up. And we're going to stay here for a minute. And you can kind of push that left knee away a little bit to really help open up a little bit more. Just see where you notice the sensations. People feel this in different places on their bodies, depending on your body. So just notice where you feel the sensations. And now inhale and come back up. Hug your knees into your chest, and we're going to go ahead and rock forward, or you can just come over on the side and sit up. And now we're going to come back up, and we're going to sit here for just a minute. Just take a moment here. Notice how you're feeling. And we're going to do that very first pose all over again. So let's take a moment. Feel that. Okay. So from here, we're going to go ahead and step back into a brief down dog and just stretch all of that out before we walk forward on our mat. So go ahead and come onto all fours, plant your hands, tuck your back toes, lift your hips up. Give yourself a nice down dog here. Just see how you feel, and notice, do you notice a difference in your down dog from the earlier pose, from the first time around to this time? You may or may not, it depends. It's a shorter class. And then slowly walk up to the top of your mat and go ahead and just ragdoll yourself forward. So go ahead and forward fold here, just ragdoll down. And then we're going to inhale and halfway lift. So here's where you might need your blocks again. If you don't have blocks, and I failed to mention this at the beginning of the video, so I apologize. You can always put your hands on your upper thighs to have that flat back. So if you don't have blocks. So try to see where you're at. So I'm going to go ahead and put a block here. And earlier I had the block up higher. So I can already tell the difference just folding forward here. So you're going for that flat back and straightish legs. So just notice, do you see a difference from the beginning of class to the end? If you do, that's fantastic. If you don't, there's nothing to worry about. This is a shorter class, but just notice where you are. And then go ahead and release that back down. Let's come back to a seat for a brief moment. We'll finish out here. If you have the time and you'd like to lay back into a Shavasana, please go for it. Otherwise, I just hope that just by doing this very short class with the strap work, and we really concentrate mostly on our hips and our hamstrings, but I hope that you can see that you don't have to be flexible to practice yoga. You just come to that and work through the poses, and over time, you become flexible. thank you for joining me. Until next time, thank you.